All right, everybody. I'm Mike. He's Byron.
Yep.
And we just got done watching WWE Battleground.
Boring ground.
I would say it ended on a slightly high note, but only with a lot of caveats, which we'll get into.
Gonna need more caveats than I've got time for.
Indeed. Let's start off with something positive. And
Fashion Files were
both
awesome.
enjoyed Fashion Files, yeah. Fashion Files was really good. This is the best thing they've used the Ascension for, really, ever.
Best thing since
a little
Surf
depressing
Dudes
for the Ascension.
Surf Dudes. They should just swap gimmicks. They should just become the Surf Dudes with attitudes.
I will say that the Ascension are probably an example of an act that came up from NXT, lost all steam, and probably was always going to and should have. Because the more I think about it, the more their success in NXT was, we are a big power tag team, and they're just not that big. Which kind of makes me worried for like Authors in Pain and Heavy Machinery to a degree, because it's like, all right, so how big are these dudes? But I'm pretty confident that they're just big. Whereas Ascension at the time in NXT were just really kind of medium-sized wrestlers in a small wrestler pond. So,
Correct.
Anyways, this was really good. I enjoyed Agent Breezy and Agent Moldango continuing on their path to figure out who trashed their office and getting attacked by, I assume, those people. I will say, my one downside here is I was looking forward to finding out who wrecked the office, and this was a pay-per-view, and I was kind of expecting we would get the answer, and we didn't. So, not great.
Yeah, the only thing I would say in favor of that is that they didn't have time for another match on this pay-per-view, and quite frankly, I didn't want another. I wanted the pay-per-view to be over like 4 matches in. It was fucking bad.
Well, you didn't need a match, though. You just needed a big reveal.
I guess. But
like when they're dragging Moldango away to presumably anal probe the crap out of, they could have just had someone like get caught by the camera and be like, "Oh, we know who that is," sort of thing. So that would have done it. But instead, we have an alien abduction on our hands, and like I said, Fandango is about to feel what it's like to be Fox Mulder on a Saturday night.
Wow.
Also, I enjoyed them acting like the horse head was actually a real horse head. This is good.
That was fantastic.
It was great.
And the adamant denial that they were not at any money.
Yeah. You had 2 tickets to paradise. So yeah, no, great stuff as always. The Fashion Files have had some slightly lesser moments. They've always been good, but there's been a couple that are not quite equal. This one was up to their standards, though.
Yeah, most of them have been fantastic, and the bad ones have been just very good.
Yep. So that was the only thing I think we're going to agree on was good on the night. I have 2 other goods. I enjoyed the John Cena-Rusev flag match. Now, there's sort of a caveat on this one, too. I find, with almost any gimmick match, be it a ladder match, cage match, flag match, there's always some stupid thing that comes with the gimmick. In this case, it's, we must pretend that we really can't get the flag down really easily, because we don't know how to climb a rope. And we also have to pretend like we can't move very fast once we have the flag. So I accept those 2 things. And the match was pretty good. We got a good table spot out of it. We had a really weak flag holder. Is there a name for that? Like the thing you put the flag in?
Just refer to it as a pedestal in my mind.
Okay. There was a really weak pedestal shot from Rusev to the back of Cena's back, which wasn't very good. Like, if they had done it that soft to the head, I'd be like, all right, that's being safe. But, dude, you hit him in the back. Just give me a little oomph.
Yeah, that would be fine.
But otherwise, I believe these 2 guys wanted to really hurt each other, which sounds like it really should be a given, but in WWE today, it's not. And I enjoyed the match. As much as I was going to enjoy Rusev versus Cena for the 1700th time. So, yeah, I thought that delivered reasonably well.
It was okay, but I was still bored. It didn't do anything that I didn't expect to see completely. I didn't really expect to see the double table setup. Other than that, once it was set up, you knew that the guy setting it up wasn't going to go through it, so didn't excite me at all.
I enjoyed the stooge in the crowd trying to help Rusev. Where's
That
the
was
flag?
pretty good.
Over there!
That was pretty good. I did enjoy that part.
So, crowd participation on this one gets a thumbs up. I also enjoyed the Punjabi Prison match. Again, caveats. Here they are. The Punjabi Prison match is a complete waste of good wrestling talent. You can't really see what's going on. There's not a ton you can do. It's a cage match with worse, lines of sight, basically. And you have to basically do the whole thing with the doors getting locked, and there's only so many ways you can really do that and make it interesting.
Yeah, and apparently Vince has never heard of drones or cranes before.
Mm-hmm. But I don't view Randy Orton as a good wrestler. And I don't view Jinder Mahal as a good wrestler. So, in a world where my SmackDown main event scene for the world title has to be Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton, this is actually a pretty good way of doing it. Because the fact that they are really boring in the ring is kind of made up for by the fact that you're looking at this cage that you don't see a lot of, and therefore it's kind of visually spectacular. You can bring some weapons into it. You can do some interesting things, which they did with the Singh brothers, hiding under the ring and then helping. One of the Singhs even managed to get through the hole in the cage and go outside and fuck with Orton. And Orton threw him onto an announce table. So we got some pretty good spots out of it. We got some creativity out of it. We got Great Khali coming out at the end to help Jinder Mahal, which actually was a downside because when they were both in WWE, they actually feuded. So it doesn't really make much sense that Khali would even really want to help him, other than, I suppose, national pride. Which I suppose works. And that's kind of really about all I have to say about that. It's a bad concept, but it made Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton about as entertaining as Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton can be.
Yeah, I guess. I felt the novelty of the whole gimmicked up cage match was kind of cool, but once it started, it was just a very slow, boring match. And then the whole point of the match is not to have interference, and then there was interference, and I was totally bored again.
In fairness, that's every cage match we do at this point, and even Hell in the Cell has interference from the outside.
Yeah, pretty much. Still totally bored.
And there is a problem with PG cage matches, which is, back when I was a kid, part of what you enjoyed about the cage match is it was the time someone was going to get busted open and bleed. It was going to be kind of a brutal match, and a lot of that stuff you just cannot do in a PG era. So that's the big disappointment with the cage match, I guess.
Yep. So boring.
Then I'll let you lead on. Is there anything you want to rant about? Because that kind of dominated the good side of things.
No. I started watching all of the matches and found myself very much tuning every single one of them out. That's pretty much it. My response to every single match on the card is going to be pretty fucking boring. Even the kickoff match with Ty Dillinger eventually was just too slow and boring.
I can back him up on this one. I've never watched a combat sports event or entertainment event that with you this bored, this unenthusiastic.
In a word, boring. Fucking boring. I was bored the whole time. It was Michael Bay Transformers level boring. That's my only rant. That's my whole rant.
Yeah, I got you. I am going to add brief rants on two things. Number one was the finish of the Nakamura versus Corbin match. I don't dig it. I don't in any way.
What was the
match?
Finish again?
It was the DQ finish.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now here, I can say one good thing. At least Nakamura got to put a few of his moves in there, as opposed to not being allowed to do those things. That was about the only positive on the night, other than the Fashion Files. Pretty much it.
But the fuck finish, I think, just does nothing. Like, you could have totally had this finish on SmackDown, and I wouldn't have really had a problem with it. But I'm never really a fan of DQ finishes that don't really further a storyline on a pay-per-view.
Yep.
This just put us in a holding pattern that we're probably going to see Baron versus Nakamura again. And it's not a match I really want to see because, I'm going to be fair to Baron Corbin here for a moment. I think he would actually put a good matchup with Nakamura in, because I think from what I've kind of read about him and some of the stuff he's even done in matches, I think he's willing to take a strong style beating.
Yeah.
And as a result, that could be a good match.
He's an ex-football player. I'm assuming dude's tough.
Former Golden Gloves boxer, too.
Apparently, it's only stated 9 times per minute of every match he's in. Yeah, so I got nothing against Brandon Corbin or Corbin Dallas or whatever the fuck his name is.
Except you can't remember his name.
Exactly. I keep wanting to say, I know Corbin's in there, but I keep mixing him up with Billy Corgan and Corbin Dallas. I think he's got a definite real future, but they're pushing him way too hard, way too fast. His talent level and his comfort level, his skill level at this point. His skill level at this point and his in-ring savvy are not up to the level where they should be for him to get this push.
And I don't think they're doing any favors with how they book things. Because like I said, if you let him go out there and have him get beat up by Nakamura but still manage to win, that could do something. That could get me interested. But what we had here was kind of a super soft, strong style match. And with a lot of bear hugs. And that's not entertaining. And it's why I was never really excited when Nakamura signed with the WWE. Like, there were guys in New Japan that I thought WWE could do something with. Like, for example, Okada. I think he could do great things. But with Nakamura, I think so much of what makes Nakamura interesting relies on the physicality of strong style that they're never going to let him use.
No.
I think to a degree I'm kind of handicapping Nakamura as a performer in the sense that if you take strong style away from him, I don't think he's that interesting. But at the same time, I'm saying WWE, why did you sign King of Strong Style to take strong style away from him? How is that a wise investment in any way?
Yep. Well, I mean, that's Vince all over. I can't remember a time where he signed somebody for their notoriety and skill set and then immediately changed their gimmick and changed their moveset and changed their style, and then they didn't get over, and then he lets them go 3 years later.
Yeah. In some cases, I'm more angry with it because sometimes I feel like the guy doesn't require a change to his moveset. He's perfectly fine as is. For example, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Owens maybe did because there's a couple of guys I just think he can't package pile drive, so he probably did need to freshen up his finisher a little bit, but that was about it. And they still, and believe me, we're going to get to 2 of those guys in a moment here. But, yeah, like, they tone down guys who don't need toning down, and then they sign guys who, if they tone down, aren't going to be any good. And not that Nakamura is not any good toned down, but, like, if you look at my reaction to watching him in New Japan, and then compare it to my reaction to all of his WWE matches, it's not that impressive. And the fact is, I don't think he can be really a high-level performer without the possibility of breaking faces.
At least making it look like he's going to.
Yes. Well, even in New Japan, a couple of people did complain that he did it got a little stiffer than probably was safe. And I'm going to talk about Owens and AJ Styles. First, I want to give a big round of applause. Give me a round of applause, because I can't hold the push to talk button and clap.
Neither can I.
Oh, okay. Fair point. A big round of applause, everybody, to WWE for making Kevin Owens, aka Kevin Steen, versus AJ Styles bore the living shit out of me. Couple of interesting spots, but boring as fuck. So much of a repeat of Owens just sliding to the outside and getting all riled up and then going back in, only to go back outside again to work a very slow-paced match, which is not what you should be doing with AJ Styles or with Kevin Owens. And the commentary made it even worse because there was one moment where AJ had him up on the fireman's carry position, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's got him up in the fireman's carry position." I'm like, he's had him up there 6 times in this match already. This fucking sucked.
Yep, it was bad. Boring.
Like this is a match that on no planet should suck, and did.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Other than that, Aiden English got a win over Ty Dillinger. New Day are your new tag team champions. Natty won the elimination match, which I'm happy she did, because Natty Neidhart requires more pushing than she's had really throughout her entire stay in the WWE, and proper booking. The spots in the match were actually quite good. Even Tamina did her stuff right. Lana did her stuff right. And there was just no doubt that Becky, Charlotte, and Natty would be able to do their stuff correctly. But the psychology of the match, frankly, sucked. You're in an elimination match where we don't get any eliminations to the last 5 minutes or so.
I would say 2 minutes.
Probably not even that.
Wasn't watching the watch.
Yeah, probably 2 minutes. We just got a rash of... We got like 3 finishes, bang, 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 and then we got a little bit of Natty versus Charlotte, which would be a really good feud if they actually did it. Again, they have actually done that one before, and it was good, so I don't know why they haven't gone back to it, because the combinations for women on SmackDown are very limited, and I hope that some of the Mae Young participants get signed to both brands, because shallow division.
Yarp.
Honestly, I think you need a women's only show to go with the 205 show.
I didn't have any issues with the female match. It was just not as good as the other big schmozzle female match. Like the 19 other big female schmozzle matches they've been having for 6 months. It was fine. No problems, no issues. Again, would have liked to see Lana wrestle in the wrestling match. But other than that, it was, it was fine.
Junk psychology for me.
Not exciting in any way, shape, or form, but it was...
And Becky needs to never try to do the Bexploder to Tamina again, because that was ugly.
Yeah, well. It was going two-way street.
The only other thing we got was Sami Zayn versus Mike Kanellis, which the best thing about that entire match was JBL having to be on the Kanellis' side when it was clearly killing him inside.
That was acceptable.
That was the only amusing part of that. There, again, they signed a guy to not let him wrestle in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we did have fun talking about the plural of Kanellises, which would be Canelli.
And if they had a third member to the group, they would be the Canellosaurus.
Indeed. So, that was fun. We had to make our own fun during a match between Sami Zayn and Mike Bennett.
Yeah, you managed to make a Sami Zayn match boring. What the fuck?
Yeah. So, most boring pay-per-view of the year, probably. The only other thing I'm going to say is the pre-show promo between the Singh brothers and Jinder Mahal really sucked. I guess it set up them interfering in the match later, but you've got this thing where they're like, we can't be in there with you. It would be our honor to, but we're going to have to cheer you from back here because they're going to lock us out. I'm like, yes, because Jinder Mahal doesn't know the stipulations of the match he requested.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking logic.
State of your fucking booking department, mate.
Yeah. Just, maybe the most frustrating pay-per-view I've ever watched. Not the worst. I can recall worse pay-per-views than this. But, just frustrating because, again, you made 4 wrestlers boring that should that should never be boring in those combinations. And my only my good thing to say is with a bunch of caveats and a comedy skit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not great. And we want to talk about anything to try and end this on a high note?
Looking forward to Fashion Files on Tuesday.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to NXT and looking forward to 205 Live.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it.
Kind of looking forward to watching some of the Mae Young Classic action.
If they're even going to put it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Although, from what I've seen so far, I'm not really interested.
There's a couple of people in there I'd be interested in. There's some really good workers. Mercedes Martinez, Candice LeRae. You're always going to get me to look at, number one, look at those two ladies. And number two, watch them wrestle. Although you'll probably find a way to make them boring somehow. Although Vince McMahon has very little to do with the tournament as far as I'm aware. So that's generally a positive.
There you go.
We were talking about how Vince McMahon is just largely a reactionary booker. And his genius is more desperation. Because he doesn't really come up with good ideas unless something's going hideously wrong. If we look at the Monday Night Wars, which people tend to be his claim to fame, or the Montreal Screwjob when the Vince McMahon heel character was born, it takes something really bad happening, like Bret Hart leaving and making a big scene, or losing to WCW in the rating wars, or being told by TV networks he's not worth nearly as much as he thinks he is, hence the creation of the WWE Network, for him to really do anything interesting. And we're really seeing that because right now he has all the power. He has a network that is largely one of a kind in terms of quality in the WWE Network, where you pay to watch his content. He's really the only wrestling game in town in North America with the TV deal right now that matters. I know ROH is on TV and Global Force Wrestling is on TV, but the exposure is much massiver for WWE. He has no rival, so there's nothing to react to, and that's why we're going to continue to get this sloppy, not very good at all booking until he dies or steps aside.
Can we watch New Japan now?
Not tonight.
Fuck, you're the worst.
I need some enjoyment, and making you angry is my enjoyment.
You're the worst.
All right, so that's all for today. And get off Byron's lawn.
Get out.